If you wish to find deep, peaceful sleep, to finally quiet the endless chatter of your mind and let go of all worries, then you have found your way to the right place. And even if you believe your mind is too busy, even if you've never meditated before, these stories are for you. They ask for nothing but your willingness to listen as you prepare to drift into the most profound and healing sleep. The ancient masters of Zen knew a secret about the nature of the mind. Tonight, you will be guided through a series of timeless Buddhist stories, each one a key designed to unlock a different part of the peace that already resides within you. There is a hidden current that flows beneath the surface of these tales. A teaching can change the very way you experience your own mind. Take a soft, gentle breath in, and as you release it, feel the weight of the day begin to dissolve. Imagine the space around you growing quiet, dim, and safe. A sanctuary built just for you, for this moment. Your body is finding its place of rest, sinking into the surface beneath it, supported and held. There is nothing for you to do, nothing to solve, no one to be. You have only to listen. You are standing at the edge of a still, quiet forest. The air is cool and smells of damp earth and pine. The path before you is soft, covered in a carpet of moss that muffles every sound. This is a journey inward, a walk toward the quiet center of your own being. And with each step you take, with each word you hear, you will move closer to a state of profound calm. The world outside, with all its demands and its noise, begins to fade. It is distant now, like a city seen from a high mountain. Its lights are small, its sounds are faint, and they cannot touch you here. Here, in this gentle space, we will explore the art of letting go. Not as an act of force, but as an act of release. Like opening your hand to let a butterfly take flight. The worries you carry are not you. They are visitors. They are clouds passing in the vast sky of your awareness. And tonight, we will learn how to let them pass. The first principle is simple. Your mind is not your enemy. It is a powerful, beautiful instrument that has, perhaps, been playing a worried song for a long time. We are not here to break the instrument, but to teach it a new melody. A melody of peace, of stillness, of deep and dreamless sleep. So allow your eyes to close. If they have not already, allow your breathing to find its own natural rhythm, soft and easy. You are safe. You are held. And the first story is waiting. Let it be the gentle hand that guides you into the quiet lands of rest. Let us begin the journey, to let go of all worries. This journey is not about arriving at a destination, but about the quality of each step. And the first step is to recognize what a worry truly is. It is a thought that you have given weight, a story you are telling yourself that you have mistaken for reality. It is a shadow that you have forgotten is cast by a very small thing. The mind, in its creative power, can build entire worlds from a single seed of fear. It can construct fortresses of anxiety, complete with moats of sadness and guards of anger. But all of it is a creation. And what can be created can also be uncreated. Not by tearing it down, but by simply withdrawing your attention. By turning towards something truer, something more real, the simple, peaceful presence of your own being, right here, right now. The silence that exists beneath the noise, the stillness that exists beneath the movement. This is your true nature. And tonight, we will return to it. We will come home. So breathe. Just breathe. Let the air fill you and let it go. Each breath is a wave, washing the shores of your inner world, making it clean and smooth and clear. You are ready. A wise teacher once revealed that our heaviest burdens are not the problems themselves, but how long we choose to carry them. This story tells of a simple glass of water and the profound secret it holds about the nature of worry and the gentle art of setting our burdens down before they crush us. A professor of psychology walked onto a stage to teach a class on stress management. She raised a glass of water, and the students expected the classic half-empty or half-full question. Instead, with a warm smile, she asked, "How heavy is this glass of water?" Answers from the students ranged from 8 ounces to a pound. She replied, "The absolute weight of this glass doesn't matter. It depends on how long I hold it. If I hold it for a minute, it's quite light. If I hold it for an hour, my arm will start to ache. If I hold it for a day, my arm will feel numb and paralyzed. In each case, the weight of the glass is the same, but the longer I hold it, the heavier it feels. She paused, letting her words sink in. Your worries and anxieties are like this glass of water. Think about them for a little while, and nothing happens. Think about them for a bit longer, and they begin to hurt. And if you think about them all day long, you will feel paralyzed, incapable of doing anything. She looked around the room at the thoughtful faces of her students. The most important thing you can do, she concluded, is to remember to put the glass down. This simple, brilliant analogy gets to the very heart of what worry does to us. It is often not the severity of the problem itself that crushes us, but the duration for which we carry it. We pick up a small worry, a glass of water. Perhaps it's an upcoming deadline, a strange noise the car is making, or a slightly awkward conversation we had. In itself, it's not that heavy, but we don't put it down. We carry it with us out of the office. We hold it while we eat dinner. We take it to bed with us. We wake up in the middle of the night and find we are still clenching our mental fist around this glass. By morning, that small 8-ounce worry feels like a 100-pound boulder. Our minds are exhausted, our emotional arms are aching, and we feel paralyzed by a problem that, in the light of day, might have been quite manageable. The art of letting go of worry is the art of learning how to regularly put the glass down. This doesn't mean ignoring your problems. The professor didn't say to never pick up the glass. There are times when you need to hold it, to look at it, to figure out what to do with it. The problem is not in the holding. It is in the holding without end. Sleep is meant to be the time when we put all our glasses down. The night is a sacred period of rest, a time for the mind and body to release their burdens and recharge. But for so many of us, we bring our entire collection of glasses to bed with us. We lie in the dark, holding the glass of work stress, the glass of financial fear, the glass of relationship trouble, the glass of self-doubt. And we wonder why we can't rest. We are trying to sleep while flexing every muscle in our arm. The practice, then, is a conscious and deliberate act of putting it down. As you lie here now, become aware of the glasses you are holding. You don't even need to name them. Just feel the tension in your mind, the subtle clenching, the feeling of holding on to something. That is the sensation of carrying a glass of water. Now, imagine a beautiful, sturdy nightstand beside your bed. This is your sanctuary for the night. And one by one, you are going to place your glasses on that nightstand. Take the worry about tomorrow's to-do list. See it as a glass of water in your hand. Feel its perceived weight, and with a conscious intention and a slow, long exhale, imagine yourself reaching out and placing it firmly on the nightstand. You can say to it, I will pick you up in the morning if I need to. But for tonight, you can rest here, and I will rest here. Feel the relief in your arm as you let it go. Now find the next glass. A regret from yesterday. A conversation you wish had gone differently. See it, feel it, and with another deep releasing breath, place it on the nightstand beside the first one. Let it go. Continue this process with every single worry you can feel. Each one is a glass. Some are small shot glasses. Some are heavy goblets. It doesn't matter. They all get placed on the nightstand. You are not throwing them away. You are not solving them. You are simply setting them down for the night. You are giving your arm permission to rest. This is an act of profound wisdom and self-care. It is the recognition that holding on to your worries all night does not help solve them. It only makes you weaker, less capable of dealing with them in the morning. The best way to prepare for the challenges of tomorrow is to be fully rested today. And the only way to be fully rested is to put the glass down. Once all your glasses are on the nightstand, feel the lightness in your being. Feel the unclenched state of your mind. There is an openness, a spaciousness that was not there before. This is your natural state. This is the state in which healing, restorative sleep can naturally arise. If, during the night, you find you have unconsciously picked up a glass again, do not be discouraged. That is simply the habit of a tense muscle. Just notice it. I am holding the glass of worry again, and gently, without judgment, place it back on the nightstand. Do this as many times as you need to. Each time you do, you are retraining your mind. You are teaching it the beautiful, healing art of letting go. Rest now. In this lightness, your arms are free, Your mind is uncluttered. The glasses are waiting safely for the morning. Tonight is for you. Tonight is for peace. We are all haunted by something. A fear, a regret, a worry that lives in a locked room at the end of the mind's hallway. This is the story of a man who was a prisoner in his own home, and the night he finally gathered the courage to turn the key, light a candle, and face the ghost he had been running from his entire life. There once was a man who lived in a large, old house. He loved the house, but for one thing, there was a room at the very end of the upstairs hallway that he never entered. He believed it was haunted. When he first moved in, he had heard a strange moaning sound coming from the room at night. It was a low, sad, eerie sound that sent shivers down his spine. He became convinced that a sorrowful ghost dwelled within. His fear of the ghost began to rule his life. He would walk quickly past the closed door of the room, his heart pounding. He made sure it was always locked. At night, he would lie in bed, straining his ears, and every creak of the old house, every whisper of the wind, became the sound of the approaching ghost. His worry grew and grew until the ghost was no longer just in the room, but in his mind, following him everywhere. The house, which should have been his sanctuary, became a place of anxiety. He told his friends about the ghost, and they offered advice. Some said, "Sell the house." Others said, "Hire an exorcist." One friend, a practical man, said, "Why don't you just open the door and see what's in there?" The man was terrified by this suggestion. To face the ghost was unthinkable. The fear of what he might find was far worse than the misery of living with the fear itself. Years passed. The man grew older. His life was small and constricted, hemmed in by the fear of this one room. He never had guests stay over. He never felt truly at peace in his own home. The ghost had become the master of the house. One night, a terrible storm raged outside. A bolt of lightning struck a nearby tree, and the power went out. The man was plunged into darkness, save for the flashes of lightning that illuminated the house in stark, terrifying snapshots. In his panic, he fumbled for a candle and a match. He needed light. He remembered that the only spare candles were stored in a closet just past the haunted room. He had no choice. Trembling, he lit his single candle and began to make his way down the long, dark hallway. The flickering flame cast dancing, monstrous shadows on the walls. As he approached the dreaded door, he could hear the moaning sound more clearly than ever. It was a low, mournful wail. His whole body shook with fear. He was about to turn and run. But then, something shifted inside him. A lifetime of fear had worn him down. He was tired. He was tired of being a prisoner in his own home. He looked at the small, brave flame of the candle in his hand. It was not much, but it was a light. And he realized he had never once brought a light to this fear. He had only ever met it with darkness. With the surge of courage born from desperation, he did the unthinkable. He took a deep breath, turned the old key in the lock, and pushed the door open. He held the candle high and stepped inside. The moaning sound was louder now, filling the small space. The room was empty, save for a few old boxes and a broken chair. Dust motes danced in the candlelight. He followed the sound to the far corner of the room, and there he found its source. The window had a broken pane of glass, and when the wind blew from a certain direction, it passed over the jagged edge of the broken glass, creating the strange, moaning sound. There was no ghost. There had never been a ghost. There was only a broken window. The man stood there in the center of the room, the candle held steady now, and he began to laugh. He laughed until tears streamed down his face. It was a laugh of pure, unadulterated relief. The ghost that had tormented him for decades, the monster that had stolen his peace and shrunk his life, was nothing more than the wind blowing through a small crack. It was something that could be fixed with a new pane of glass. Your worries are the ghost in the darkened room. They are vague, shadowy fears that live in the unexamined corners of your mind. They make strange, terrifying noises in the dark of the night, and we are so afraid of what they might be that we refuse to ever open the door and look at them directly. We spend our lives avoiding the room. We distract ourselves. We numb ourselves. We build our lives around the fear. The worry itself becomes more painful than any reality could ever be. We are haunted by phantoms of our own making. The teaching of this story is simple, but it is not easy. The only way to dispel a ghost is to turn on the light. The light is your awareness. It is the brave, gentle, non-judgmental attention that you can bring to your fear. As you lie here, if a worry begins to moan from a dark corner of your mind, a fear about your health, your finances, your relationships, the invitation is not to run from it. The invitation is to do what the man did. Light a small candle of awareness. Take a deep breath and metaphorically turn toward the room. Acknowledge the fear. Ah, there is the ghost of what if. And then, gently, with courage, open the door. Don't try to fight the ghost or argue with it. Just bring the light of your calm, curious attention to it. Ask it some simple questions. What are you, really? What is the actual concrete thing I'm afraid of right now? Break it down. Look for the broken window. Is this worry based on a real, tangible fact, or is it a story I'm telling myself? Is it the wind, or is it a ghost? More often than not, when you bring this gentle, investigative light to your worries, they cannot survive the illumination. They are creatures of shadow. They thrive on vagueness and mystery. When you look at them closely, they reveal themselves to be much smaller, much more manageable than you ever imagined. They are a broken window, a bill you need to pay, a conversation you need to have. They are not a life-destroying monster. Tonight, be brave. Be tired of being a prisoner in your own mind. Light your candle. It may only be a small flame of willingness, but it is enough. Open the door to the room you have been avoiding. Shine the light of your awareness on the ghost, and watch as it dissolves into the simple, harmless reality it always was. In that relief, you will find the deep, true peace that comes from knowing there is nothing in the dark to be afraid of. Your mind is a great and powerful river, and for too long, you have been told to stand in the middle of it, fighting the current. This ancient teaching offers a profound secret. Your true place is not in the water, but on the peaceful bank, watching the river of thoughts flow by without being swept away. Imagine you are sitting on the bank of a wide and powerful river. The water flows constantly, carrying with it all sorts of things: fallen leaves, small twigs, petals from flowers, sometimes a piece of driftwood, sometimes mud and silt stirred up from the bottom. The river is never the same from one moment to the next. It is always in motion. This river is your mind, the stream of your consciousness. The thoughts, feelings, memories, and sensations that flow through it are the leaves, twigs, and petals. Some are beautiful. A happy memory is a bright red petal. Some are neutral. A passing thought about the weather is a green leaf. And some are unpleasant. A worry, a fear. A moment of anger is a piece of rough driftwood or a cloud of mud. Now, for most of your life, you've been given the wrong job. You have been told that your task is to stand in the middle of this river and control what flows by. You believe you are supposed to be a dam trying to stop the flow altogether, or a filter trying to catch all the bad things like the driftwood and the mud while only letting the good things like the flower petals pass through. So you stand there in the middle of the powerful current and you struggle. You try to stop a worried thought and two more rush past you. You try to hold on to a happy feeling, but the current pulls it away. You get angry at the mud. You fight with the driftwood. You are constantly battling the river, and it is exhausting. You are always wet, always struggling, and you never, ever win. The river is always stronger. At the end of the day, you are left feeling defeated, anxious, and powerless. You believe you have failed at your job of controlling the river. The great secret of Zen, and the art of letting go, is the realization that you were given the wrong job description. Your job is not to stand in the river. Your job is to sit on the bank. Your true identity is not the struggling person in the water. Your true identity is the calm, spacious, witnessing awareness that can simply sit on the grassy bank and watch the river flow by. From the bank, your perspective changes completely. You see a worried thought, a piece of driftwood approach. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to jump in and fight it. You simply notice it. Ah, there is a piece of driftwood. You watch it float into your field of vision. You watch it as it passes by, and you watch it as it floats on down the river and disappears from sight. You have not become entangled with it. You have not resisted it. You have simply allowed it to be what it is, a temporary object floating in the stream of consciousness, and because you did not fight it, it did not disturb your peace. Your peace is on the bank, not in the water. Then, a beautiful memory comes, a flower petal. You watch it with a gentle smile. You appreciate its beauty as it floats by. But you don't jump into the river and try to grab it and hold on to it. You know that if you did, you would just get wet, and the current would eventually pull it from your grasp anyway. You let it go, too, with gratitude. This is the practice of mindfulness. It is the practice of moving your sense of self from the middle of the river to the riverbank. It is a radical shift in perspective. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that is aware of your thoughts. As you lie here tonight, you can practice this. The thoughts and worries that may keep you from sleep are the river. Your usual habit might be to jump in and start wrestling with them. Instead, I invite you to take a seat on the riverbank. Imagine yourself resting comfortably on the soft grass, and just watch. A thought about work appears. See it as a log floating by. Name it. Ah, work. And then let it go. Watch it drift away. You don't need to do anything about it right now. A feeling of anxiety arises. See it as a swirl of mud in the water. Acknowledge it. Ah, anxiety. And let the current carry it. Don't stir it up. Just let it flow. A happy thought, a pleasant sensation. See it as a bright flower. Enjoy it as it passes. Ah, pleasant. And let it go, too. Your only job is to remain on the bank, to keep bringing your attention back to the role of the silent, peaceful observer. Your anchor on the bank is your breath. Whenever you feel yourself being pulled into the water, getting caught in a thought, gently guide your attention back to the simple, steady rhythm of your breathing. The breath is always on the bank. It is always in the present moment. This is the ultimate way to let go of all worries. You do not get rid of them. You let them go by. You realize they are not you, and they do not have the power to disturb the peace of the one who is sitting on the bank. The river of the mind will always flow. It is its nature, but you do not have to drown in it. Rest now on the peaceful banks of your own awareness. Let the river of the mind do what it does. It cannot harm you here. You are safe, you are dry, and you are at peace. Let the gentle murmur of the river be the sound that lulls you into a deep and profound sleep. A young monk grew angry at the falling leaves that ruined his perfectly swept path, until his master showed him that to love the bamboo, one must also love its dancing shadows and its falling leaves. This story teaches us to stop fighting the nature of our own minds, and instead learn to dance with the thoughts that fall like leaves in a quiet garden. In a monastery garden, there grew a magnificent grove of bamboo. The stalks were tall and green, and when the wind blew, they would sway and dance, their leaves whispering secrets to one another. A young monk was given the task of sweeping the fallen leaves from the stone path that wound through the grove. Every morning he would go out with his broom and meticulously sweep the path clean. He took great pride in his work. He wanted the path to be perfect, a pristine ribbon of gray stone amidst the green. But every morning he would face the same frustration. As he swept one section of the path, the wind would blow and new leaves would flutter down behind him, undoing his work. Or, just as he was finishing, a breeze would rustle the entire grove and a shower of fresh leaves would fall upon his perfectly clean path. He became obsessed. He saw the falling leaves as his enemy. He would get angry at the wind. He would shake his fist at the bamboo. "Why can't you just hold on to your leaves?" he would mutter. His sweeping, which should have been a peaceful, moving meditation, became a battle. His mind was full of frustration and a sense of futility. The old abbot of the monastery watched the young monk struggle for many days. He saw his clenched jaw, his tense shoulders, the angry way he wielded the broom. One morning, the abbot walked out to the bamboo grove. The young monk had just finished sweeping and was standing, exhausted and scowling, looking at the two new leaves that had just dared to fall on his perfect path. "You have worked very hard," the abbot said kindly. "It is pointless," the young monk snapped. "As soon as I finish, it is ruined again. I can never make it perfect." The abbot smiled. "You are trying to sweep away the wrong thing," he said. "You are trying to sweep away the leaves. But your true task is to sweep the path. You have forgotten about the shadows." The young monk was confused. "The shadows?" "Yes," said the abbot. "Look!" He pointed to the stone path. The morning sun was casting the long, dancing shadows of the bamboo stalks across the stones. Every morning, the sun also paints the path with the shadows of the bamboo. Do you get angry at the shadows? Do you try to sweep them away? Of course not, the monk said. That would be foolish. The shadows are a part of the bamboo. They are natural. Exactly, the abbot said, his eyes twinkling. And so are the leaves. The leaves falling are just as natural as the shadows being cast. They are both a sign that the bamboo is alive and healthy. To love the bamboo is to love its shadows and its falling leaves. You are fighting the very nature of the thing you are serving. He continued, do not sweep with the goal of a permanently clean path. That is an impossible goal, and it will only bring you suffering. Sweep with the goal of participating in the life of the garden. See the sweeping not as a fight, but as a dance with the wind and the leaves. Sweep with joy, knowing that more leaves will fall. They are not a sign of your failure. They are a sign of the garden's abundance. The young monk looked at the path, at the leaves, at the dancing shadows, and for the first time, he saw them not as a problem, but as a whole, a living, breathing system. His anger and frustration melted away, replaced by a sense of connection and peace. He picked up his broom, and as another leaf drifted down, he smiled. He swept it gently, not as an enemy, but as a partner in the dance. Our minds are the bamboo grove. Our thoughts, especially our worries, are the falling leaves. We are the young monk, desperately trying to create a permanently clean, clear, and empty mind. We sweep away a worry, and another one falls. We achieve a moment of peace, and then the wind of life blows, and a shower of new anxieties flutter down. We become frustrated, angry at our own minds, angry at the world. We think, I am failing at this. I can never get my mind to be still. The abbot's wisdom is a lifeline. We are trying to sweep away the wrong thing. A mind that is alive will produce thoughts, just as a living bamboo grove produces leaves and shadows. It is natural. It is a sign of life. To wish for a mind with no thoughts is to wish for a dead bamboo grove. The goal is not to stop the leaves from falling. The goal is to change our relationship with them. The practice is to see your worries as leaves. They are not a sign that you are broken or failing. They are a natural product of a living, engaged mind interacting with the world. So, when a worry leaf falls onto the path of your awareness, you do not have to get angry at it. You don't have to fight it. You can do what the wise monk learned to do. You can see it, acknowledge it. Ah, a leaf has fallen. And then, with your broom of gentle attention, perhaps a single, conscious breath, you can gently sweep it aside, not with anger, but with acceptance. And when another one falls, you sweep that one too. You see the whole process, not as a battle for perfection, but as a gentle, continuous dance of tending to your inner garden. The sweeping itself becomes the meditation. The peace is found not in the outcome, a permanently clean path, but in the process, the gentle, rhythmic act of sweeping. As you lie here, leaves will fall, worries will drift into your mind. Do not despair. Do not fight them. See them as a sign that your beautiful living mind is doing what it does. Pick up your gentle broom of the breath. Inhale and acknowledge the leaf. Exhale and gently sweep it aside. Do this over and over, not as a chore, but as a dance. Let go of the impossible goal of a mind empty of leaves. Instead, find peace in the loving, patient act of sweeping. You are the tender of a beautiful living garden. And the falling leaves are not your enemy. They are part of its song. A man prone to rage went to meditate on a river, only to be struck by another boat. As he prepared to unleash his fury, he discovered a truth that dissolved his anger in an instant. This is a story about the freedom that comes when we realize we are often shouting at empty boats. There was once a man who lived by a wide, slow-moving river. He was, by nature, a man of quick temper. The smallest things could ignite his frustration. A lost tool, a bird that stole his grain, a neighbor who spoke too loudly. His anger was a hot coal he carried in his pocket, always ready to burn. One afternoon, seeking a moment of peace, he decided to meditate in his small boat. He rowed out to the middle of the river, anchored the boat, closed his eyes, and began to breathe. The sun was warm on his skin. The water lapped gently against the hull, and for a few precious moments, he felt a quietness settle over him. Suddenly, a hard jolt shook his boat, nearly throwing him into the water. His eyes flew open, and his heart filled with rage. Another boat had collided with his. He saw the other vessel just a few feet away and began to scream at the top of his lungs. "You fool! How could you be so careless? Are you blind? You've ruined my meditation. You've ruined my peace." He prepared to unleash a further torrent of insults, his face red and his fists clenched. But as he looked more closely at the other boat, he fell silent. There was no one in it. It was an empty boat, one that had likely come untethered from the shore and had simply drifted downstream, carried by the same current that he was on. In that moment, all his anger vanished. It simply evaporated.
How can you be angry at an empty boat?
It had no intention. It had no malice. It was just there. An object moved by the river. He suddenly felt foolish. All that rage, all that heat, all that poison he had felt coursing through him, where did it come from? It wasn't from the boat. It came from him. He had created it entirely in his own mind, projected onto a target he assumed was there. He sat back down, and for the first time, he laughed. He laughed at his own foolishness, at the absurdity of his own anger. The river was the same. The sun was the same. His boat was the same. The only thing that had changed was his understanding. He sat in the silence for a long time, watching the empty boat drift slowly away, and he realized that most of the time, he was shouting at empty boats. This story, so simple and clear, holds a profound teaching for the worried mind. Your worries are empty boats. Think of a specific worry that troubles you now. Perhaps it is a fear about the future, a regret about the past, a judgment from another person. See it in your mind. Now, ask yourself, is this worry a real, solid thing with a malicious intent to harm you, or is it an empty boat? Most of our suffering does not come from the events themselves. It comes from the stories we tell ourselves about the events. It comes from the assumption that there is someone at the helm of that other boat deliberately trying to ram into us. We imagine a careless fool, a malicious enemy, a critical judge. And so we react. We fill ourselves with anger, with fear, with defensiveness. We shout at the boat. But what if you looked closer? What if you saw, with clarity, that the boat is empty? The comment someone made might not have been a personal attack, but a reflection of their own inner state, their own empty boat drifting aimlessly. An event in the future you fear has not happened. It is an empty vessel you have filled with your own anxieties. A mistake from the past is over. It is a ghost ship you keep alive by continuing to shout at it. When you realize you are shouting at an empty boat, the anger, the fear, the worry, it has nowhere to land. It cannot stick. It dissolves, just like the man's rage on the river. There is no one to blame. There is nothing to fight against. There is only the event itself and your relationship to it. This is a deep form of release. It is not about pretending that things don't happen. Boats will drift down the river of life. They will sometimes bump into you. That is the nature of the current. The practice is to see them for what they are. To not automatically assume intent, malice, or personal failure. To not immediately fill the empty vessel with your own painful stories. Take a breath now. And with your out-breath, imagine all the empty boats you have been shouting at. See them for what they are. A thought, a memory, a projection. They have no power over you. They are just driftwood on the water. Let them float by. You do not need to engage. You do not need to shout. You can remain in your own boat, in the center of your own being, and find your peace not by controlling the river, but by understanding that most of what disturbs you is, and always was, empty. This realization is a key. It unlocks the door to a vast, quiet space within you. A space where you are no longer a victim of circumstance, but a calm observer of the river of life, watching the empty boats drift on by. The Buddha taught that whenever we are in pain, we are struck by two arrows. The first arrow is the unavoidable pain of life itself. The second is the arrow of suffering, which we shoot into ourselves. This teaching reveals how we can end the vast majority of our own suffering simply by learning to put down the bow. In the ancient teachings, the Buddha spoke of 2 arrows. This teaching is a cornerstone for understanding how to let go of all worries, for it separates what is inevitable from what is optional. Imagine you are walking through a forest. Suddenly, out of nowhere, an arrow flies through the air and strikes you in the arm. It is painful. It is shocking. This is the first arrow. In life, the first arrow is unavoidable. It is the raw, unfiltered experience of pain, loss, sickness, disappointment. It is the car that breaks down, the relationship that ends, the unexpected illness. These things happen. They are part of the human condition, as natural and unpredictable as a storm. No amount of wishing or planning can make you entirely immune to the first arrows of life. To be alive is to be vulnerable to them. Now, as you stand there with the first arrow in your arm, you have a choice. What is your reaction? The teaching says that most of us, without thinking, immediately shoot ourselves with a second arrow. The second arrow is our suffering. It is our reaction to the first arrow. It is the story we tell ourselves about the pain. The first arrow is the physical pain in your arm. The second arrow is the thought, "Why me? This is terrible. I can't bear this. My whole day is ruined. This always happens to me. The person who shot this is a monster. I will never be safe again." This second arrow is made of worry, of anger, of fear, of self-pity, of blame. It is the layer of mental and emotional suffering that we add on top of the original, unavoidable pain. The wound from the first arrow might be small, but the wound from the second arrow can be vast and deep, and it is entirely self-inflicted. You are not responsible for the first arrow. It came from outside of you. But you are, with practice, 100% responsible for the second arrow. Think about a worry that is currently with you, separated into its 2 arrows. What was the first arrow? Perhaps it was a critical comment from your boss. That was the event. It happened. It was a sharp, unpleasant moment. That is the first arrow. Now, look for the second arrow. Is it the looping thought? I'm going to get fired? Is it the feeling of shame? I'm not good enough? Is it the anger? My boss is unfair? Is it the anxiety that keeps you awake at night, replaying the conversation over and over? All of that, the fear, the shame, the anger, the sleeplessness, is the second arrow. It is the suffering you are adding to the original pain. The practice of letting go of worry is the practice of learning not to shoot the second arrow. It is not about becoming a stone, emotionless and unaffected. You will still feel the sting of the first arrow. The teaching is not one of repression. It is one of wisdom. You acknowledge the pain of the first arrow. You say to yourself, "Yes, this hurts. This is difficult. This is a moment of pain." You allow the raw feeling to be there, without judgment. You tend to the wound, but you stop there. You refuse to pick up the bow and shoot the second arrow into yourself. You see the thoughts of worry and catastrophe begin to arise, and you recognize them for what they are, the second arrow. And you simply put it down. You do not have to fire it. This is a radical act of self-compassion. It is the gentlest and most powerful way to care for yourself. When you are hit by a first arrow, your job is not to create more pain. Your job is to be kind to yourself, to soothe the wound. Imagine your mind is a clear sky. The first arrow is a single, dark cloud that appears. The second arrow is a storm you create in response to that one cloud. It is the thunder of blame, the lightning of anger, the downpour of despair. But you don't have to create the storm. You can simply notice the cloud, acknowledge its presence, and know that like all clouds, it will eventually pass, leaving the clear sky of your awareness untouched. As you lie here, preparing for sleep, let this teaching sink deep into your being. When worries arise in the quiet of the night, they are almost always second arrows. The first arrow, the event itself, is usually long gone. What remains is the story, the fear, the loop. You are holding the bow, ready to shoot yourself again and again. See the bow in your hand. See the arrow of worry. And with a gentle breath, just let it go. Let the bow fall from your fingers. You do not need to carry that weapon against yourself anymore. Let the pain of the first arrow be what it is, a simple, clean pain that can be tended to and healed. Do not complicate it with the poison of the second arrow. This is true freedom. It is the freedom from the tyranny of your own reactions. It is the peace that comes from knowing that while you cannot always control what happens to you, you can always choose how you respond. And in that choice lies the power to let go of all worries. Rest in that power now. Rest in the knowledge that you can lay down your arms. You can be at peace, even in a world of first arrows, by simply refusing to create the second. An old farmer whose life was a series of seemingly random events, a lost horse, a sudden fortune, a tragic accident, an unexpected salvation, had only one response to his neighbor's judgments of good luck or bad luck. His simple reply holds the key to freeing ourselves from the turbulent waves of life's ups and downs. In a small, ancient village nestled between rolling hills, there lived an old farmer. He was a man of few words and a quiet disposition. His neighbors, however, were full of opinions. The farmer had only one son and one horse which he cherished. One day, the horse, spooked by a sudden storm, broke through its fence and ran off into the wilderness. When the neighbors heard the news, they all came to the farmer's house to offer their condolences. "Oh, what terrible luck," they said, shaking their heads. "Your only horse is gone. How will you plow your fields? This is a disaster." The old farmer listened patiently, nodded, and said only, "Maybe." A week later, the farmer's horse returned, but it was not alone. It had been followed by a herd of 12 wild, beautiful horses. Suddenly, the farmer was a rich man. The neighbors, hearing of his good fortune, rushed back to his house, their faces beaming. "What incredible luck," they exclaimed. "You lost one horse and gained 12. This is a blessing from the heavens." The old farmer listened, a calm expression on his face, and replied, "Maybe." The farmer's son, a strong and capable young man, set about the task of taming the wild horses. While trying to break in the most spirited stallion, he was thrown violently to the ground. His leg was badly broken, a complex fracture that the village doctor said would never fully heal. He would walk with a limp for the rest of his life. The neighbors gathered once again, their faces etched with pity. "What awful luck," they sighed. "Your son is crippled. Your good fortune has turned to dust. This is a true tragedy." The old farmer, tending to his son, simply looked at them and said, "Maybe." A few months passed. The emperor's army marched into the village. A war had broken out in a distant province, and they were conscripting every able-bodied young man. They took the sons of all the farmers' neighbors, leaving their families weeping in the streets. But when the soldiers came to the old farmer's house and saw his son with his badly healed leg, they passed him by. He was spared. The neighbors, their own homes now empty and silent, came to the farmer. "Your luck is unbelievable," they whispered, their eyes full of a new kind of awe. "Your son's injury saved him from the war. You were right all along." The old farmer, looking out at the hills where the wild horses now grazed peacefully, said nothing more than his usual quiet reply, "Maybe." This story is a profound meditation on the nature of worry. Worry is born from judgment. It is the act of labeling an event as good or bad the moment it happens. We get the promotion, good luck. We lose the job, bad luck. We find a partner, good luck. The relationship ends, bad luck. We are constantly sorting our experiences into these two boxes, and our emotional state rises and falls with each new label. The farmer's wisdom lies in his refusal to do this. His maybe is not a sign of indifference or pessimism. It is a sign of profound wisdom. He understands that life is a vast, interconnected web. No single event exists in isolation. What appears to be a tragedy today might be the seed of a blessing tomorrow. What looks like a great victory might be the first step toward an unforeseen difficulty. You simply cannot know the full story from one chapter. Your worries are a product of a limited perspective. You are standing too close to the tapestry of your life, seeing only a single, tangled knot of thread. You call it bad. But if you could step back and see the whole design, you would realize that this knot is an essential part of a beautiful and complex pattern. The farmer's peace comes from letting go of the need to know, the need to judge, the need to label. He lives in a state of acceptance. He accepts the horse running away. He accepts the horses returning. He accepts his son's injury. He accepts his son being spared. He doesn't waste his energy resisting what is. Instead, he conserves it for what is needed, mending the fence, caring for his son, tending his fields. As you lie here, think of the things you label as bad in your life, the worries, the fears, the perceived failures. See each one. The lost opportunity, the difficult conversation, the financial struggle. And to each one, try whispering the farmer's wisdom. Maybe. This is not a denial of your feelings. It is okay to feel sad, or frustrated, or afraid. The farmer surely felt concern for his son, but his core being was not shaken because he did not attach a final judgment to the event. Maybe creates space. It opens a door in the sealed room of your anxiety. It allows for possibility. It allows for a story that is bigger than the one you are telling yourself right now. Worry shrinks your world down to a single negative outcome. The wisdom of maybe expands it to infinity. It is the ultimate act of trust in the unfolding of life. It is the understanding that you do not have to have all the answers. You do not have to know what every event means. Your only task is to meet the moment with what it requires and to let go of the rest. So let go of your labels. Let go of good luck and bad luck. Let go of success and failure. These are just stories. Rest in the farmer's quiet wisdom. Rest in the spaciousness of maybe. In that space, worry cannot find a foothold. It needs certainty and judgment to survive. In the open field of maybe, it dissolves like mist in the morning sun, leaving only the peaceful reality of what is. A little boy, full of anger, shouted hateful words into an empty valley, only to hear them shouted back at him. His wise mother sent him back with a different message, and the echo that returned changed his understanding forever. This story reveals a simple but profound truth. The world is a mirror, and what we send out is what we receive. There was a little boy who lived in a village at the foot of a great mountain range. He was a bright and happy child, but he had a quick temper. When he got angry, he would shout and say hurtful things, and then later, he would feel ashamed. One day, after an argument with his mother, he felt a storm of anger rise inside him. Not wanting to shout at her, he ran out of the house and up into the hills. He ran until he came to a wide, silent valley, enclosed by towering rock faces. He was all alone. He cupped his hands around his mouth, and, in a fit of rage, he screamed into the valley, "I hate you!" A moment later, from all around the valley, a boy screamed back, "I hate you!" The boy was startled. He had never heard another voice in these hills. He thought someone was hiding, mocking him. He grew even angrier. He shouted, "You are a coward!" The voice from the valley immediately replied, "You are a coward!" Now the boy was furious. "I'll show you," he yelled. "I'll show you," the echo answered. The boy was frightened. He ran back down the mountain to his home, convinced that a mean and angry boy lived in the valley, just waiting to fight him. He burst into the house and told his mother about the terrible boy in the hills who shouted hateful things at him. His mother, a wise woman, listened patiently. She understood at once what had happened. She looked at her son with a gentle smile and said, "Go back to the valley, but this time, try something different. Cup your hands and shout something kind. See what happens." The boy was skeptical, but he trusted his mother. He walked back up the long path to the silent valley. He stood in the same spot, feeling a little foolish. He took a deep breath and shouted, "You are wonderful." A moment later, a voice from all around the valley replied, "You are wonderful." The boy was astonished. A smile broke across his face. He grew bold and shouted, "I love you." The echo returned, clear and joyful, "I love you." In that moment, the boy understood. There was no other boy in the valley. The valley was simply giving him back whatever he gave to it. This simple story holds a truth that is fundamental to the nature of our experience. The world is a valley. It is an echo chamber. What you shout into it is what you hear back. Your life, your relationships, your circumstances, they are often a perfect reflection of your own inner state. Our worries are a form of shouting, "I hate you," into the valley. When you are filled with anxiety, you project that anxiety onto the world. You see threats where there are none. You interpret neutral comments as criticism. You expect failure, and so you act in ways that subtly sabotage your success. The world, like the valley, simply echoes your fear back to you, confirming your belief that it is a dangerous and hostile place. You are convinced there is a mean boy in the hills, but the voice is your own. When you are filled with anger, you shout that anger out. You speak with a harsh tone. You act with impatience. And in return, people respond to you with defensiveness and hostility. The echo confirms your belief that the world is full of difficult, aggressive people. Conversely, when you cultivate a state of peace within yourself, you project that peace. You speak with kindness. You listen with patience. You act with compassion. And the world, more often than not, reflects that peace back to you. People soften in your presence. Opportunities open up. You see the good in others, and they, in turn, see the good in you. You are shouting, "I love you," into the valley, and the world joyfully echoes it back. This is not a magical formula. It does not mean that first arrows will never fly your way, but it has a profound effect on the second arrows. The suffering we create for ourselves, much of what we call reality, is a projection of our own mind. As you lie here, preparing to sleep, consider the echoes in your life. What are you hearing back from the world? Are you hearing echoes of frustration, scarcity, and fear? If so, look inward. What are you shouting? You cannot change the echo without changing the original voice. The practice is not to try to force the world to be different. The practice is to change the message you are sending out. And it starts with the quietest whisper. It starts with a single thought. Instead of shouting your worries into the valley of the night, try whispering something different. As you breathe in, you might silently say to yourself, "Peace." And as you breathe out, you might silently offer that peace to the world. Instead of the thought, "I am so worried about tomorrow," try offering the thought, "May I meet tomorrow with courage and calm." You are changing the original voice. Even if you don't believe it at first, keep offering these kinder words. Just like the boy in the story, you may be surprised by the echo that returns. It may not come back instantly, but with gentle persistence, the landscape of your life will begin to shift. The harsh echoes will fade, replaced by whispers of kindness, peace, and love. Tonight, let your last thoughts be a beautiful message sent into the valley. Let them be thoughts of gratitude, of compassion for yourself, of trust in the unfolding of things. Shout, "I love you," into the great silent valley of your own being. And then listen, just listen, for the beautiful echo that is sure to return, carrying you into a deep and peaceful sleep. Many return here each night to rest in these stories. If you'd like, you're welcome to join them by subscribing. A compassionate monk repeatedly tried to save a drowning scorpion, getting stung each time. When his disciple asked why he persisted, the monk's reply revealed a powerful secret to inner peace. "Its nature is to sting, my nature is to save." This is a story about finding freedom by honoring our own nature, regardless of the stings of the world. A wise old monk and his young disciple were walking along the bank of a river. The disciple was learning the ways of compassion and non-harm, and he watched his master's every move, hoping to absorb his wisdom. As they walked, the old monk noticed a scorpion that had fallen into the water. It was flailing its legs, struggling to stay afloat, and was being carried downstream by the current. Without a moment's hesitation, the monk waded into the river, reached out his hand, and gently scooped the scorpion out of the water. As he was lifting it to the safety of the riverbank, the scorpion, acting on its instinct, whipped its tail around and stung the monk's hand. The monk winced in pain and involuntarily jerked his hand, causing the scorpion to fall back into the river. The monk looked at his hand, which was already beginning to swell, and then looked at the scorpion, once again struggling in the water. Without a second thought, he waded back into the river and again tried to rescue the creature. He cupped his hand and carefully lifted it out. And again, just as he was about to set it on dry land, the scorpion stung him. The sharp pain made him drop it once more. The young disciple, watching from the bank, was horrified. "Master!" he cried out. "Why do you keep trying to save that creature? It is ungrateful. It stings you every time. It is not worth the pain. Just let it drown." The old monk looked at his disciple, his eyes full of a calm, unwavering compassion. He then turned back to the river and, for a third time, waded in. This time, he cupped his hands together to provide a larger, more stable platform for the scorpion. He lifted it slowly, patiently from the water. The scorpion, agitated and frightened, stung him again on his other hand. But this time, the monk's movement was steady. He endured the pain without flinching and gently placed the scorpion on a dry leaf on the riverbank, where it scuttled away into the undergrowth. Safe. The monk walked slowly out of the water, his hands now throbbing with pain. He turned to his bewildered disciple. "My dear student," he said softly, "you are mistaken to judge the scorpion. It is the nature of a scorpion to sting. That is its instinct, its way of defending itself when it feels threatened. It does not know any better. But it is my nature as a human being who has chosen the path of compassion to save. Its nature does not change my nature." This parable is a powerful lesson about letting go of a very specific kind of worry, the worry and frustration that comes from the behavior of other people. So much of our mental energy is spent wishing others were different. Why is my partner so messy? Why is my colleague so competitive? Why is my friend so unreliable? We get angry, we get hurt, we get anxious because others are not behaving the way we want them to. We are, in essence, demanding that the scorpion stop being a scorpion. The monk's profound peace comes from his acceptance of reality. He does not waste a single moment wishing the scorpion were a butterfly. He sees it for what it is and accepts its nature completely. This acceptance frees him. His actions are no longer dependent on the scorpion's response. He is not trying to save it so that it will be grateful. He is saving it because that is who he has chosen to be. His inner peace is unshakable because it is not contingent on the outside world conforming to his expectations. It is based on his own unwavering commitment to his own values. Think of the scorpions in your life, the people or situations that repeatedly sting you, the critical relative, the demanding boss, the unfair system. We often carry a deep-seated worry about them. We replay their stings in our minds. We build up resentment. We live in fear of the next encounter. This worry is a poison we drink, hoping the scorpion will be harmed. The monk's teaching offers a radical alternative. What if you were to accept that it is their nature to sting? This is not the same as condoning harmful behavior or becoming a doormat. The monk was wise. On the third attempt, he changed his method to protect himself better. Acceptance is not passivity. It is clarity. It is seeing this is what this is. When you accept the nature of the scorpion, you stop wasting energy on the futile wish for it to change. All that energy is freed up. And you can then ask a much more powerful question. Given that this is his nature, who do I choose to be? What is my nature? Do you choose to be someone who is consumed by bitterness and resentment? Or do you, like the monk, choose to be someone who maintains their own core of compassion, of integrity, of peace, regardless of the stings? This is the ultimate form of inner freedom. It is the realization that no one can force you to abandon your own nature. They can sting you. That is the first arrow. But they cannot force you to feel hatred or to live in a state of perpetual worry. That is the second arrow, and it is always your choice. As you rest tonight, let go of the struggle to change the scorpions in your life. See them for what they are, and then turn your attention inward. Reconnect with your own chosen nature. Is it to be kind, to be patient, to be peaceful? Nurture that within yourself. Let your inner state be determined not by the stings of the world, but by the strength of your own commitment to your own heart. In that commitment, you will find a peace that no scorpion can ever take away. A brilliant scholar, his mind overflowing with knowledge about Zen, went to visit a master to learn its secrets. The master offered him tea, and in a simple, shocking act, taught the scholar the one thing all his books could not. To find peace, you must first be willing to empty your cup. A highly respected university scholar, a man who had dedicated his life to studying the philosophies of the world, decided to visit a Zen master. He had read every book on Zen. He could quote the ancient sutras by heart, and he felt he had a deep intellectual understanding of the subject. But he also felt that something was missing. A lived experience of the peace he had only read about. He journeyed to a remote mountain monastery and was granted an audience with the old Zen master. The master, a man with a serene face and eyes that seemed to see right through him, invited the scholar into a small, simple room for tea. As the master prepared the tea with slow, deliberate movements, the scholar began to talk. He talked about all the books he had read, the complex philosophical concepts he had mastered. He explained the different schools of Zen, their historical development, their key tenets. He spoke with great eloquence and intelligence, eager to display his vast knowledge to the master. The old master listened patiently, nodding occasionally, a faint smile on his lips. He picked up the teapot and began to pour tea into the scholar's small cup. He poured until the cup was full, and then he kept pouring. The hot tea overflowed, spilling out of the cup and running across the table. The scholar, watching this, was first confused and then alarmed. "Stop!" he shouted. "What are you doing? The cup is full! It's overflowing! No more will go in!" The old master stopped pouring. He looked at the scholar, his gaze calm and direct. "You," he said softly, "are like this cup. You have come to me so full of your own opinions, your own speculations, your own ideas and concepts. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" The scholar was stunned into silence. In that single, simple act, a master had shown him everything he had failed to learn from his books. His mind was so full, so cluttered with knowledge, that there was no room for anything new to enter. There was no space for true understanding, for direct experience. He had come to receive, but he was not open to receiving. He had spent his whole life filling his cup, and he had never learned the art of emptying it. This story is a powerful reminder for anyone seeking peace. Our minds are often like the scholar's cup. They are overflowing. They are filled to the brim with worries, with plans, with judgments, with rehearsed conversations, with endless mental chatter. We want to pour in peace. We want to pour in stillness. We want to pour in a good night's sleep. But there is no room. The cup is already full. Letting go of your worries is the act of emptying your cup. As you lie here tonight, you may be wishing for sleep to come. But if your mind is racing, if your cup is full, sleep cannot enter. It will just spill over. Wasted. You must first create the space. How do you empty your cup? You do it by shifting your attention from the contents of the cup to the cup itself. The contents are your thoughts, your worries, your stories. "I had a terrible day. I'm anxious about my meeting tomorrow. What if I can't fall asleep? Did I remember to lock the door?" All of these are the tea, filling the cup to overflowing. The cup itself is your awareness, the silent, witnessing presence that is able to observe the thoughts without being swept away by them. The practice is simple. Notice the thoughts, see them swirling in the cup. But instead of engaging with them, analyzing them, or believing them, just let them be. Acknowledge their presence as you would acknowledge the tea. Ah, there is the tea of worry. There is the tea of planning. And then, gently, bring your focus back to the feeling of the cup, the silent space in which these thoughts are happening. Bring your attention to your breath. The breath is a wonderful way to empty the cup. Each exhale is a little bit of tea being poured out. With each out-breath, you can imagine you are releasing the clutter, the tension, the noise. You are creating space. Bring your attention to the sensations in your body, the feeling of weight, of warmth, of contact with the bed. This is the solid reality of the cup itself, not the swirling liquid of your thoughts. Resting your attention in the body is a powerful way to empty the mind. You don't have to force the thoughts to go away. You simply stop adding more tea to the cup. You stop engaging. You stop analyzing. You stop worrying about the worry. You let the existing tea settle. And in the stillness, you begin to notice the space between the thoughts. That space is the emptiness. That space is peace. That space is where deep healing rest is found. Has a moment like this ever visited your life? If you feel called, you're welcome to share below. The scholar had to be shocked into seeing his own fullness. For you, the process can be much gentler. It is a simple, repeated turning away from the contents and a turning toward the container. It is a repeated act of letting go of the story and resting in the silence. Tonight, give yourself permission to empty your cup. Let go of the need to figure everything out. Let go of the day that is past and the day that is yet to come. Let them spill out and drain away. Rest in the beautiful, spacious emptiness of your own awareness. It is from this emptiness that everything real and peaceful arises. When your cup is empty, it is ready to be filled with the deep, restorative nectar of sleep. Before a block of wood is carved into a chair or a statue, it exists in a state of pure, simple, and infinite potential. This is the Taoist concept of Pu, the uncarved block. This story guides us back to our own original nature, the peaceful state of being that exists before we were carved by the worries, labels, and expectations of the world. In the quiet philosophy of Taoism, which shares many roots with Zen, there is a concept known as Pu, which translates to the uncarved block. It represents the original, natural state of things, full of infinite potential, before it has been shaped, defined, and limited by human intention. Imagine a block of wood, fresh from the forest. It is simple, whole, and natural. It is not yet a table, or a chair, or a statue. It is pure potential. It could become anything. This is the uncarved block. The mind of a newborn child is like this uncarved block. It is open, receptive, and free from judgment. It experiences the world directly, without a filter of concepts, labels, or worries. It is simply present. As we grow, the world begins to carve us. Our parents, our teachers, our culture, they all take up their tools. They carve us with names, with rules, with expectations, with beliefs. They tell us what is good and what is bad, what is success and what is failure. Our own mind becomes the busiest carver of all. It chisels away at our experience with plans, with judgments, with regrets about the past and anxieties about the future. Soon, the simple block of wood is gone. In its place is a complex, intricately carved statue, the statue of me. It has a name, a history, a personality, a list of accomplishments and failures, and a mountain of worries. We become so identified with the statue that we forget we were ever the block of wood. We believe the carvings are who we truly are. And this is where our suffering comes from. The carvings are rigid. The statue is heavy. It has to be defended, polished, and compared to other statues. We worry that a piece will chip off. We fear that someone will judge our carvings as ugly or inadequate. We are trapped by the very identity we have so carefully constructed. The path to letting go of worry is the path of returning to the uncarved block. It is not about destroying the statue or regressing to infancy. It is about remembering our original nature, the simple, spacious awareness that exists beneath all the carvings. This is the state of Nam-di that Zen masters speak of. It is not an empty mind, but a mind that is not trapped by its own creations. It is a mind that has returned to its natural, simple state. How do we find our way back to the uncarved block? We do it by letting go of the carving tools. Your plans are a carving tool. Your judgments are a carving tool. Your labels are a carving tool. Your worries are the sharpest carving tool of all, constantly chipping away at the present moment, trying to shape the future into a form that you think will be safe. The practice is to simply lay the tools down. As you lie here, feel the stillness around you. That stillness is the uncarved block. Your breathing in and out is the simple, natural rhythm of the wood. It is not trying to be anything other than what it is. When a thought of worry arises, I need to figure out that problem at work tomorrow. Recognize it as a carving tool. See it in your hand, and then gently place it down beside you. You are not fighting the thought. You are not judging it. You are simply choosing not to use it right now. You are choosing to remain uncarved. When a memory of regret appears, see it for what it is, an attempt to recarve the past. Acknowledge it and gently lay that tool down as well. The goal is to rest in the simple, present moment reality of your own being. The feeling of the air on your skin, the sensation of the bed supporting you, the sound of silence in the room. This is the wood. This is the reality. The carvings, the worries, the plans, the identities are just concepts overlaid on top of it. They are less real than the feeling of your own breath. This state is incredibly powerful. The uncarved block is not weak. It is full of potential. When you are in this state, you respond to life not from a rigid set of rules or fears, but with a natural, spontaneous wisdom. You meet each moment with whatever is required, simply and directly. Like the farmer with his horse, You are not burdened by preconceived notions. You are free. Do not worry if the carving thoughts keep appearing. That is the habit of a lifetime. The practice is gentle and patient. Each time a thought arises, you see it, you acknowledge it, and you lay the tool down. Again and again. Each time you do this, you are loosening your identification with the statue and strengthening your connection to the uncarved block. You are remembering your true nature. Tonight, your only task is to be the wood, not the statue. Let go of the need to be somebody. Let go of your story, your problems, your plans. They will be there tomorrow if you need them. But for now, just be the simple, silent, uncarved presence that is resting here in this bed. In this simplicity, there are no worries. In this stillness, there is only peace. Let this deep, restful state carry you into sleep. A sleep as profound and natural as a great ancient tree. After a beloved king died, his throne was left empty for a year. Generals, merchants, and scholars all tried to fill it with their ambitions. But true royalty was found in the one person who knew that the highest wisdom is not to act, but to listen. This story shows us how to find peace by emptying the throne in our own hearts. In a kingdom long ago, there was a king who was deeply loved by his people. He was wise, just, and compassionate. But he grew old and, one day, he passed away. The kingdom was plunged into sorrow. The throne in the great hall sat empty, and the kingdom felt rudderless, without a center. The king had no heir, and his will decreed a strange method for choosing his successor. He had instructed his royal council to leave the throne empty for 1 full year. During that year, any person in the kingdom, from the highest noble to the lowliest peasant, could come and sit on the throne for 1 hour. At the end of the year, the council was to observe who, among all the people, was most suited to rule. The news spread, and people flocked to the castle. First came the great generals in their polished armor. They sat on the throne and immediately began issuing imaginary orders, planning campaigns, and dreaming of conquest. Their minds were full of power and strategy. Then came the wealthy merchants. They sat on the throne and calculated new taxes, imagined vast trade routes, and saw the kingdom as a giant ledger book. Their minds were full of profit and loss. Then came the scholars and judges. They sat on the throne and drafted complex new laws, debated philosophical points, and saw the kingdom as a puzzle of logic and order. Their minds were full of rules and concepts. And so it went. For months, the throne was never empty. It was filled with people full of ideas, full of ambitions, full of plans. Each one saw the kingdom through the lens of their own profession, their own desires. Each one wanted to do something to the kingdom, to shape it, to control it. One day, near the end of the year, a simple woman from the countryside came to the castle. She was a farmer who had spent her life tending her small plot of land. She was not ambitious or learned. She entered the great hall, her clothes simple, her hands calloused from work. She looked at the ornate throne, and with a sense of quiet awe, she sat down. And she did nothing. She did not issue orders. She did not calculate taxes. She did not draft laws. She just sat. She listened. She listened to the silence of the great hall. She felt the history of the stone beneath her. She looked at the light streaming through the high windows. She felt the weight of the responsibility of the throne, but she did not try to grasp it. She simply held a space for it. Her mind was not full of plans for the kingdom. It was full of the kingdom. She felt the presence of the people, their joys and their sorrows, their hopes and their fears. Her heart was open, receptive, and still. She was not trying to be a king. She was simply being present with the kingdom. The royal council, who had been observing all year, saw this. They saw the frantic, busy minds of all the others, who saw the throne as a tool for their own ambition. And they saw the quiet, empty, and receptive mind of the farm woman, who saw the throne as a sacred trust. At the end of the year, they approached her and bowed. "You," they said, "are the true heir. You know that the first duty of a ruler is not to act, but to listen, not to command, but to understand, not to fill the space, but to hold it. The throne is yours." Within each of us is a throne. It is the seat of our awareness, the center of our being. And for most of us, this throne is never empty. It is constantly occupied by the noisy, ambitious, and worry parts of ourselves. The general of our anger sits on the throne, planning battles and resentments. The merchant of our fear sits on the throne, constantly calculating risks and potential losses. The scholar of our anxiety sits on the throne, endlessly analyzing what could go wrong, drafting 1,000 different disaster scenarios. Our inner throne is a place of chaos and frantic activity, and we wonder why we have no peace. We are ruled by tyrants. The path to letting go of worry is the path of reclaiming your throne, and the way you reclaim it is not by finding an even stronger, smarter part of yourself to take over. The way you reclaim it is by allowing it to be empty. The farmer woman is the part of you that knows how to be still. It is your innate capacity for silent, open, receptive awareness. It is the part of you that can simply be present with your life without constantly trying to fix it, control it, or improve it. As you lie here, I invite you to enter the great hall of your own heart. See the throne there. Who is sitting on it right now? Is it the worrier, the planner, the critic? Acknowledge them. See their frantic energy, and then, gently, thank them for their service and ask them to step down. They are not the true ruler. They are just loud courtiers. Invite them to take a rest in the corner of the hall, and for the first time in a long time, allow the throne to be empty. And then, you, the true you, the silent witnessing awareness, can take your seat and do nothing. Just sit. Just be. Listen to the kingdom of your body, the rise and fall of your breath, the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat, the sensations of warmth and coolness. Do not try to change anything. Just listen. Be present with the kingdom of your mind. Watch the thoughts, feelings, and memories drift through the great hall like courtiers. Do not engage them. Do not serve them. You are the ruler. They are not. Let them come and go. Your place is on the throne, in stillness. This is the seat of true power. It is the power of non-reaction. It is the wisdom of stillness. When your inner throne is empty of the usurpers of worry and fear, a deep and profound peace arises naturally. It is the peace of a kingdom that is well ruled. It is the peace of a mind that has found its true center. You are the rightful ruler of your own inner kingdom. Claim your throne, not with force, but with silence. Not with action, but with stillness. Rest in the quiet majesty of your own empty heart. From that place of peace, you can rule your life with wisdom, compassion, and grace. And from that place, you can drift into a sleep that is truly royal. For centuries, everyone tried to play the sacred jade flute, hoping to force it to produce its legendary song of peace. They all failed. It was only when a small child stopped trying to make a sound and simply listened to the flute that its divine music was finally heard. This story teaches that peace is not something we create, but a silent music we can discover when we finally stop trying. In a mountain village, there was a temple that housed a sacred relic, a flute carved from a single piece of ancient jade. Legend said that this flute was a gift from the heavens, and that it could produce a melody so beautiful, so pure, that it would instantly dissolve all sorrow and worry, bringing enlightenment to anyone who heard it. But there was a catch. The flute would only play for someone whose heart was perfectly pure and whose mind was completely still. For centuries, the most accomplished musicians, the most devout priests, and the most powerful kings made pilgrimages to the temple to try and play the flute. They would come with great ceremony, fast and purify themselves. And then, in the hushed silence of the inner sanctum, they would lift the jade flute to their lips. They would blow with all their skill, their fingers dancing over the holes, trying to coax the divine melody from the instrument. But no matter how hard they tried, the flute remained silent. Not a single note would emerge, only the sound of their own breath, strained and empty. They would leave in frustration and disappointment, their hearts heavier than before. One day, a young child, a girl from the village who often played in the temple gardens, wandered into the sanctum. She saw the beautiful jade flute resting on its silk cushion. She had heard the legends, but she was not a musician, nor was she a holy person. She was just a simple child, full of innocent curiosity. She picked up the flute. It felt cool and smooth in her hands. She did not try to play it. She knew she couldn't. Instead, she just held it. She looked at it, admiring its soft green glow. She felt its stillness. And then, She lifted it to her ear, not her mouth. She wanted to hear the flute's secrets. She wanted to listen to it, not make it perform for her. She closed her eyes and just listened. She listened to the silence held within the jade. She listened to the memory of the wind in the ancient tree from which it was carved. She listened to the quiet of the temple, the distant chirp of a cricket, the soft rhythm of her own breathing. Her mind became completely still, not through effort, but through simple, open listening. She was not trying to achieve anything. She was just being present with the flute. And in that profound, effortless silence, she began to hear it. A music that was not made of sound. A melody that flowed directly into her heart. It was the music of perfect peace, of a stillness so deep it contained all of existence. It was the song of the universe, and it had been playing all along. The flute was not an instrument to be played, but a tool for listening. Its purpose was to quiet the listener so they could hear the music that is always present. The girl sat there for a long time, a smile of pure bliss on her face, bathed in the silent music of the sacred flute. We are all like the musicians and kings. We are trying to make peace happen. We are trying to force our minds to be still. We treat our lives like the silent flute, blowing into it with all our effort, trying to coax a melody of happiness and calm from it. We try affirmations, we try techniques, we try to control our thoughts, we try to achieve a state of relaxation. We are working so hard to play the flute, and we are frustrated when all we hear is the sound of our own strained effort. The worry itself is a form of forceful blowing. I must relax. I must fall asleep. I must solve this problem. It is an aggressive act, an attempt to impose our will on the instrument of our mind. And it always results in silence, or worse, the dissonant sound of our own struggle. The little girl shows us the way. The way to let go of worry is to stop trying to do anything to it. It is to stop trying to play the flute and, instead, learn to listen. Peace is not something you create. It is something you discover. It is the silent music that is already playing, deep beneath the surface noise of your mind. It is the natural state of your being, your worries, your thoughts, your anxieties. They are like the loud, frantic breathing of the musicians, obscuring the subtle melody that is always there. The practice, then, is to become like the little girl. As you lie here, let go of the effort. Stop trying to get to sleep or get rid of worry. Let that ambition fall away. You are not here to achieve anything. Instead, just listen. Hold your own mind as gently as the girl held the flute. Lift it to the ear of your awareness, and listen to the silence that is underneath the thoughts. It is there. Even if the thoughts are loud, there are tiny gaps of silence between them. Rest in those gaps. Listen to the physical sensations in your body without trying to change them. Just listen to the feeling of warmth, of tingling, of weight. This is the silent music of your physical form. Listen to the rhythm of your breath without controlling it. Just witness its gentle, automatic flow. This is the rhythm section of the universe, playing just for you. When you shift from doing to listening, a profound change occurs. The struggle ceases, the frantic blowing stops. And in the quiet space you create, you begin to hear it, the subtle melody of peace, the deep, resonant hum of your own being at rest. Zen Buddhism, healing is a quiet space in a noisy world, and you found it. This peace has been here all along, waiting for you to stop trying so hard and simply become quiet enough to hear it. It is not an accomplishment. It is a homecoming. So tonight, lay down your efforts. You don't need to play the flute. The most beautiful music in the universe is already playing for you. Just listen. Let the silent song of stillness cradle you, soothe you, and carry you effortlessly into the deep, quiet peace you have been seeking. 2 monks came to a river where a woman was waiting, unable to cross. One broke his sacred vows to help her, while the other followed the rules. Hours later, it became clear which of them was truly burdened. This is a story about the heavy loads we carry in our minds long after an event is over, and the profound freedom of learning to let go. 2 Zen monks, one old and one young, were on a pilgrimage. They traveled on foot for many miles, their robes covered in dust, their minds set on their destination. They came to a place where a wide, muddy river crossed their path. There was no bridge. At the river's edge, A beautiful young woman in a fine silk kimono was standing, looking distressed. She was clearly of high birth and was afraid to cross the turbulent, muddy water for fear of ruining her exquisite clothes. She looked at the two monks with pleading eyes. The monks were of an order that had very strict rules. They were forbidden from touching a woman or even looking at one for too long. It was a serious vow they had both taken. The young monk, seeing the woman, immediately looked away. He stood stiffly, remembering his vows, and prepared to cross the river by himself, leaving the woman to her fate. It was not his problem. His duty was to his vows. The old monk, however, saw the woman's predicament. He looked at her, then at the river. Without a word, he walked over to her, bent down, and lifted her onto his back. He carried her gracefully across the swirling, muddy water and set her down gently on the other side. She bowed deeply in gratitude, and the old monk simply nodded and continued on his way. The young monk, having crossed the river himself, was in a state of shock. He was scandalized. He couldn't believe what his master had just done. He had broken a sacred vow. He had touched a woman. He had carried her. For the next 2 hours, as they walked in silence, the young monk's mind was a storm of judgment and confusion. He replayed the scene over and over. He thought of all the rules that had been broken. He fumed with righteous indignation. His own meditation was ruined, his mind filled with agitation. Finally, he could bear it no longer. As they approached the gates of the monastery where they were to spend the night, he burst out, "Master, I must ask you something. We are monks. We have taken vows not to touch women." "How could you do that? How could you carry that woman across the river? You have broken our most sacred rules." The old monk looked at the young monk, his expression calm and gentle. He smiled faintly. "I left the woman at the river," he said. "Are you still carrying her?" This story is one of the most famous and profound in Zen. It is a teaching about the difference between an event and the story we tell ourselves about it. It is about the burdens we choose to carry long after they have been set down. The old monk dealt with the reality of the moment. A person needed help. His compassion outweighed the rigid rule. The act itself was simple, clean, and over in a matter of minutes. He picked her up, he crossed the river, he put her down. The event was finished. He left the woman and the situation at the riverbank. His mind was free, light, and unburdened. The young monk, however, did not deal with the reality. He dealt with his ideas about the reality. His judgments, his rules, his shock, his indignation. He picked up the woman in his mind and refused to put her down. He carried her for 2 long, miserable hours. He carried her weight in the form of his own churning, anxious, and angry thoughts. The woman on the old monk's back was far lighter than the woman in the young monk's mind. Who are you in this story? How many women from your past are you still carrying? An argument you had this morning. A mistake you made last week. A hurt from a year ago. A failure from your childhood. The actual events are over. They are at the riverbank, far behind you on your path. But you are still carrying them. You are carrying them in your mind, and they are heavy. They are muddying your present moment, weighing down your spirit, and making your journey miserable. Worry is the act of carrying something that is no longer there. It is the mental reenactment of a problem long after the problem has passed or before it has even arrived. The old monk's secret to peace was his ability to be fully present with what was happening and then to let it go completely once it was over. He did not create a second story about the event. He did not judge it, analyze it, or worry about its implications. He just did what was needed and moved on. As you prepare for sleep, take a moment to notice what you are carrying. What old events, conversations, or feelings are you holding on your back right now? Can you feel their weight? Can you feel how they are clouding your peace? The teaching of the old monk is a direct invitation. You can put her down. You can put it all down, right now. You don't need to analyze why you are carrying them. You don't need to justify it. You just need to recognize that you are doing it and that the river is far behind you. With a conscious, releasing breath, imagine yourself setting down these burdens. See the argument from this morning? Leave it on the path. The worry about tomorrow's meeting? Leave it there too. The old hurt? It is heavy. Gently let it slide from your shoulders. You do not need to carry it into your rest. The young monk's suffering was entirely optional. It was self-created. so is much of ours. We think our worries are forced upon us, but we are the ones who refuse to leave them at the river. Tonight, choose to be the old monk. Be present with what is here now, the feeling of your body, the rhythm of your breath, and leave everything else behind. The past is a memory. The future is a fantasy. Neither has any substance. They cannot be carried unless you choose to carry them. Let them go. Feel the lightness that comes when you finally put down the weight you've been carrying for so long. Your back is straight. Your mind is clear. The path ahead is open, and you can walk into your sleep, free and unburdened. A water bearer carried 2 pots every day. One was perfect, the other was cracked and leaked water all along the path. The cracked pot was deeply ashamed of its flaw, until the water bearer revealed the beautiful, hidden purpose that only its imperfection could fulfill. In India, there was a water bearer who served a wealthy master. Every day, his job was to walk from his master's house down a long path to the stream, fill 2 large pots with water, and carry them back. The pots hung on either end of a long wooden pole that he balanced across his shoulders. One of the pots was perfect. It held every drop of water from the stream all the way back to the house, but the other pot had a long, thin crack in its side. By the time the water bearer completed the long walk back, the cracked pot would be only half full, having leaked water steadily along the path. For 2 full years, this went on daily. The water bearer would deliver 1.5 pots of water to his master's house. The perfect pot was very proud of its accomplishments. It fulfilled its purpose without flaw, but the poor cracked pot was deeply ashamed of its imperfection. It was miserable that it could only do half of what it had been made for. After 2 years of what it perceived as a bitter failure, the cracked pot could bear it no longer. One day, as the water bearer bent to fill it at the stream, it spoke to him. "I am so ashamed of myself," it whispered. "I want to apologize to you." The water bearer was surprised. "Why?" he asked. "What are you ashamed of?" "Because of this crack in my side," the pot replied. "I leak water all the way back to your master's house. You do all of this work, walking for miles, but because of my flaw, you only get half the reward for your effort." The water bearer smiled gently. "As we return to the master's house," he said, "I want you to notice the beautiful flowers growing along the path." Indeed, as they walked back up the hill, the cracked pot looked out, and for the first time, it noticed a magnificent display of wildflowers blooming on one side of the path. The sun shone on their brilliant colors, and they filled the air with a sweet fragrance. The pot was so captivated by their beauty that it almost forgot its sorrow. But at the end of the path, as it saw the water still leaking from its side, it felt another pang of guilt and apologized again for its failure. The water bearer said to the pot, "Did you notice that the flowers grow only on your side of the path? Not on the side of the perfect pot?" he continued. "That is because I have always known about your flaw. I took advantage of it. I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day, as we walk back from the stream, you have watered them. For 2 years, I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate my master's table. Without you being just the way you are, he would not have this beauty to grace his house." Each of us is a cracked pot. We all have our flaws, our quirks, our perceived imperfections. We carry them with a sense of shame, of being less than. We look at the perfect pots around us, people who seem to have it all together, who seem flawless and successful, and we feel the sting of our own shortcomings. Our worries often stem from this feeling. The worry that we are not smart enough, not attractive enough, not capable enough. The fear that our cracks will be exposed, that we will be seen as failures. This story invites you to look at your cracks in a new light. What if your flaws, the very things you are most ashamed of, have a hidden purpose? What if they are watering a garden you're not even aware of? Perhaps your flaw of being overly sensitive allows you to connect with others on a profoundly empathetic level, creating beauty in your relationships. Perhaps your flaw of being shy and introverted gives you a rich inner world and the ability to create art or ideas that a more extroverted person could never conceive. Perhaps a past failure has given you a unique brand of wisdom and compassion that allows you to help others walking a similar path. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, knows how to use our cracks. The water bearer, a symbol of this compassionate wisdom, did not try to fix the pot. He did not discard it. He found a way to use its unique nature to create something beautiful. As you lie here, I invite you to think of a crack in yourself that you often worry about, something you wish you could change. Hold it in your mind, not with shame, but with a gentle curiosity. Can you imagine a hidden garden that this flaw might be watering? Can you see, even for a moment, the possibility of a beautiful purpose you had not considered? This is not about glorifying our weaknesses. It is about letting go of the harsh judgment that turns them into sources of suffering. It is about trusting that you are exactly as you need to be in this moment, cracks and all. Your journey, with all its leaks and imperfections, is leaving a trail of flowers in its wake. You may not see them yet, but they are there. Let go of the impossible standard of being a perfect pot. It is a heavy and useless burden. Instead, embrace your unique, cracked self. Trust that your journey has a purpose, and that your very imperfections are an essential part of the beauty you bring into this world. Rest in that knowledge. Rest in the peace of self-acceptance. Your cracks are not a sign of failure. They are a sign that you have lived, you have been on the path, and you have watered the world in your own unique way. A young apprentice despaired over his flawed pottery, seeing only his failure to achieve the master's perfection. But the master showed him a deeper truth, that real beauty lives not in flawlessness, but in the unique, human marks of imperfection. The gentle wisdom of wabi-sabi. In a village known for its exquisite pottery, there lived a master potter. His creations were famous throughout the land for their perfect symmetry, their flawless glazes, and their delicate thinness. Collectors would pay handsome sums for even his smallest cup. The potter was a perfectionist, and he took immense pride in his work. He had a young apprentice who was diligent and eager to learn. The apprentice watched the master for months, learning how to center the clay, how to pull the walls up, how to shape the forms with grace and precision. Finally, the day came when the master allowed the apprentice to throw his own bowls. The apprentice worked with intense concentration, trying to emulate the master's perfection. He made a dozen bowls. He centered the clay perfectly. He pulled the walls up evenly. But when he took them off the wheel, he saw that each one had a tiny flaw. One had a slight wobble in the rim. Another had a small fingerprint embedded in the side. A third was a fraction of an inch taller on one side than the other. He was devastated. He saw them as failures. He had tried so hard to be perfect, just like the master, and he had not succeeded. He prepared to smash the bowls and return the clay to the slurry bin. The master potter came into the workshop and saw the apprentice's despair. He looked at the row of bowls on the shelf. He picked one up, the one with the fingerprint. He ran his own thumb over the tiny indentation. He smiled. "This is a good bowl," he said. The apprentice was confused. "But master, it is flawed." "It has my mark on it. It is not perfect like yours." The master looked at the young man with kind eyes. "Your mark," he said, "is what makes it yours. It is what proves that it was made by a human hand, not by a machine. It shows the moment of connection between you and the clay. It has life in it." He then walked over to a shelf in the corner, a shelf the apprentice had never paid much attention to. On it were some of the master's own favorite pieces, the ones he kept for himself. The apprentice looked closely, and he was shocked to see that they, too, were imperfect. One had a drip of glaze that had run down the side in an unexpected way. Another had a subtle asymmetry that gave it a unique character. A third had a firecrack in the base, a dark line that told the story of its trial in the kiln. "Perfection," the master said, "is a cold and lifeless thing. It is an idea in the mind, but beauty, true beauty, is found in imperfection. It is found in the things that have lived, that have been touched, that have a story. This is the principle of wabi-sabi. Finding beauty in the transient, the flawed, the humble. Do not worry about being perfect. Worry about being real. Worry about putting your heart into the clay. The rest will take care of itself." The apprentice looked at his own failed bowls with new eyes. He saw not the flaws, but the character. He saw his own effort, his own touch. He saw the story of his learning. And for the first time, he felt not shame, but a quiet sense of love for his own imperfect creations. So much of our worry is born from the tyranny of perfectionism, We are like the apprentice, constantly striving for an impossible ideal. We want the perfect body, the perfect career, the perfect family, the perfect life. We want to say the perfect thing in every conversation, to make the perfect decision every time. And because this ideal is unattainable, we live in a constant state of perceived failure. We look at our lives, our bodies, our relationships, and all we see are the flaws. The fingerprint of a mistake, the wobble of an insecurity, the uneven glaze of a messy emotion. And this creates a deep gnawing worry. I am not good enough. The Master Potter's wisdom is a soothing balm for this anxiety. It is the invitation to embrace wabi-sabi in our own lives, to find the beauty in our own imperfections. Your flaws are not signs of failure. They are the marks of your humanity. They are the fingerprints of your unique journey. The scar on your knee tells a story of a childhood adventure. The lines around your eyes tell the story of 1,000,000 smiles or 1,000 tears. The mistake you made at work is a firecrack that teaches you humility and resilience. To let go of the worry of not being good enough is to let go of the ideal of perfection. It is to fall in love with your own messy, flawed, and beautiful reality. It is to see the character, the life, and the story in your own imperfections. If something inside you stirred or softened, even a little, you might name it here. As you lie here, I invite you to be the Master Potter looking at your own life. Think of something you have been judging as a flaw in yourself, a habit, a physical trait, a past decision. Now, try to see it with the eyes of wabi-sabi. Can you see the story it tells? Can you see the humanity in it? Can you find a sliver of beauty or character in its imperfection? Can you hold it not with criticism, but with a gentle, accepting love? You are not a machine-made object of perfection. You are a hand-thrown bowl. You have been shaped by life, touched by joy and sorrow, and fired in the kiln of experience. You have fingerprints and firecracks and unique wobbly rims. And that is what makes you beautiful. That is what makes you priceless. Let go of the heavy burden of trying to be flawless. It is a fool's errand. Instead, rest in the deep, quiet beauty of your own authentic, imperfect self. There is a profound peace in that acceptance. It is the peace of the Master Potter, who knows that the most beautiful things in life are never perfect. They are real. A wealthy businessman tried to teach a poor fisherman how to build a vast empire, only to discover that the fisherman already possessed the one thing the businessman was working his whole life to achieve. This story asks us to question our endless striving and consider that the peace we seek may already be right here. On a small, sun-drenched island, a wealthy businessman from the city was on vacation. He was taking a break from his high-stress life of mergers, acquisitions, and constant pressure to grow his empire. One afternoon, he was walking along the pier of a quiet fishing village when he saw a local fisherman sitting beside his small, simple boat. The fisherman had just returned from the sea. Beside him was a basket containing a few large, beautiful fish. The fisherman was smiling, humming a gentle tune to himself, looking perfectly content. The businessman, a man driven by efficiency and ambition, was intrigued. He approached the fisherman. "Excuse me," he said. "Those are fine fish. How long did it take you to catch them?" The fisherman looked up, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Oh, not too long," he replied. "A few hours." "Why didn't you stay out longer and catch more fish?" the businessman asked, a note of challenge in his voice. The fisherman shrugged. "This is enough to feed my family for today." The businessman leaned in, seeing a teachable moment. "But imagine if you stayed out all day. You could catch twice as many fish, maybe 3 times as many. And then what would I do?" the fisherman asked, genuinely curious. "Well," the businessman said, warming to his subject, "you could sell the extra fish at the market. With the extra money, you could save up and buy a bigger boat. With a bigger boat, you could go into deeper waters and catch even more fish, maybe tuna or swordfish." "And then what would I do?" the fisherman repeated, his smile unwavering. "With the money from the bigger boat, you could buy a second boat, then a third. You could hire other fishermen. You could build your own fleet. Soon, you would have your own cannery. You would control the product, the processing, the distribution. You would move out of this small village and into the capital city, and then to a major global hub like New York or London, and you would run your expanding enterprise." The businessman was breathless with his own vision, his eyes shining. "And then what would I do?" The fisherman asked for a third time, his voice still calm and gentle. The businessman laughed. Well, that's the best part. When you've made it really big, when you become a multimillionaire, you could sell your company, retire, and you wouldn't have to work another day in your life. And then what would I do? The fisherman asked one last time. The businessman paused, a little exasperated. Then, he said, you could move to a small, quiet fishing village, sleep in late, play with your children, go fishing for a few hours in the afternoon, and spend your evenings with your wife and friends, perfectly content. The fisherman looked at the businessman. He looked at his small boat bobbing in the clear blue water. He looked at his basket with just enough fish, and he smiled his gentle, knowing smile. Isn't that what I am doing right now? This story is a profound critique of the particular kind of worry that plagues our modern world, the worry of not enough. Not enough money, not enough success, not enough achievement. We are driven by a constant, nagging feeling that we need to be doing more, accumulating more, becoming more. We are the businessman, so focused on a future destination that we fail to see that we may already be there. We sacrifice our present peace for a future peace that we imagine will be better. We trade the simple joy of today for the promise of a grander joy tomorrow. We work exhausting hours, stress our bodies and minds, and neglect our loved ones, all in the service of reaching a goal that is, ironically, a state of being we could choose to inhabit right now. The fisherman is a master of enough. His happiness is not dependent on a future outcome. It is rooted in the present reality of his life. He has enough food for his family. He has enough time for his children. He has enough peace to sit and hum a tune by the sea. He has discovered the secret that eludes the businessman. Joy is not a destination you arrive at after years of struggle. It is a way of being you can access in any given moment. As you lie here, you may be carrying the businessman's worries, the pressure to achieve more, the fear of falling behind, the feeling that your life is not yet enough. This is a heavy burden, and it is the enemy of rest. The fisherman's wisdom invites you to ask a radical question. What if what you have right now is enough? What if the love in your life right now is enough? What if the home you have right now is enough? What if the person you are right now is enough? This is not a call to abandon your goals or ambitions. It is a call to change the place from which you pursue them. You can pursue them not from a place of desperate, anxious lack, but from a place of peaceful, grounded sufficiency. You can work toward a better future without sacrificing the simple joy of the present. Think of one thing in your life right now for which you are grateful. One simple, enough thing. It could be the comfort of your bed, the love of a pet, the memory of a friend's laughter, the fact that you are breathing. Let the feeling of enough settle into your body. It is a warm, relaxing, and deeply peaceful sensation. It is the opposite of the tense, grasping energy of worry. It is the feeling of the fisherman sitting contentedly by his boat. Some truths speak quietly, but stay forever. What part of this teaching lingers with you? You do not need to build an empire to find peace. You do not need to wait until retirement to enjoy your life. The simple joys are here, now, waiting for you to notice them. The permission to be content is yours to claim in this very moment. Let the businessman's frantic energy drain away from you. Let the fisherman's gentle contentment fill you. You have enough. You are enough. Rest in that profound and simple truth. It is the key to a peace that no amount of money can buy, and the gateway to a sleep that is deep, untroubled, and truly enough. A young cloud was terrified of disappearing, of dying. It saw other clouds vanish into rain or mist, and it was filled with dread. But a wise old cloud shared a secret that dissolved its fear. You cannot die if you were never truly born. This is a story about the illusion of endings and the beautiful endless dance of transformation. There was a young cloud, born from the warm breath of the ocean. It was a beautiful cloud, white and fluffy, and it loved to drift across the vast blue sky. It played with the wind, raced with the other clouds, and marveled at the world below. The green patchwork of forests, the silver ribbons of rivers, the tiny houses of the people. For a time, the cloud was very happy. But then it began to notice something. Some clouds grew dark and heavy and disappeared as rain. Other clouds simply thinned out until they were nothing but a wisp of vapor, vanishing into the blue. It saw older, wiser clouds around it, and it began to be afraid. It realized that it, too, would have to disappear one day. This realization became a great worry. The fear of not being filled the little cloud with anxiety. "I don't want to die," it would cry to the wind. "I love being a cloud. I love floating here in the sky." Its joy was gone, replaced by a constant nagging fear of its own end. One day, a wise old cloud, vast and serene, drifted alongside it. It saw the young cloud's distress. "Little one," the old cloud rumbled softly, "why are you so troubled? I am going to die." The young cloud wept. "I am going to vanish and be nothing." The old cloud was silent for a moment, and then it smiled a slow, knowing smile. "You are mistaken," it said. "It is impossible for you to die. You are thinking in a very limited way." The young cloud was confused. "But I see it happen every day. Clouds disappear." "Disappear, yes," said the old cloud. "But die? Never. Your true nature is not just that of a cloud. Your true nature is also water. You came from the ocean, did you not? When you grow heavy and release yourself, you will become the rain. You will fall into the streams and rivers. You will water the thirsty trees and flowers. You will join the great ocean once more. And when the sun warms the ocean, you will rise again, perhaps as a morning mist, or perhaps as a beautiful white cloud, just like you are now." The old cloud continued. "You see, you cannot die because you have never been born in the way you think. You have only changed your form. To be a cloud is just one of your beautiful manifestations. To be rain is another. To be the water in a river, the dew on a leaf, the steam from a cup of tea, it is all you. You are part of a wonderful, endless cycle. How can you be afraid of becoming something so beautiful as the rain?" The young cloud listened, and a profound sense of peace washed over it. It had been so attached to its identity as a cloud that it feared losing that form. But now it understood. It was not just a cloud. It was water. Its being was not limited to one shape or one moment. It was part of an eternal flowing process of transformation. The fear of death, the fear of ending, vanished completely. The cloud began to see itself in everything, in the lake below, in the green leaves of the trees, in the very air it floated through. It was no longer a separate, fragile thing. It was part of everything. And from that day on, it drifted in the sky, not with fear, but with a joyful acceptance, ready for its next beautiful adventure as rain. This story speaks to one of our deepest worries, the fear of change, of loss, of endings. We worry about our youth ending, a job ending, a relationship ending, and ultimately, our own life ending. We cling to our current form, our current identity, just like the young cloud. We think, "This is me. I am this job title. I am this relationship. I am this healthy body." And the thought of losing that form fills us with terror. The teaching of the cloud is the teaching of impermanence and interbeing. Nothing is ever truly born and nothing ever truly dies. It only changes form. The energy that is, you cannot be destroyed. It will transform. Think of a change you are worried about. Perhaps it is a child leaving home, or your own body aging, or a project you love coming to an end. See it not as an ending, but as a transformation. See it not as a death, but as a cloud becoming rain. The love you have for your child does not die when they leave home. It transforms into a new kind of relationship. The energy and skill you put into your job do not vanish when it ends. They transform into new opportunities and wisdom you carry forward. Your body does not simply end. It returns its elements to the earth, becoming flowers and soil and trees. You are a part of a cycle far grander and more beautiful than your fear allows you to see. When you understand this, you can let go of the desperate clinging that causes so much suffering. You can hold your life, your relationships, your successes, and even your own identity a little more lightly. You can appreciate the beauty of your current form as a cloud without being terrified of the day you will become the rain. In fact, you might even look forward to it with curiosity and wonder. As you drift toward sleep, imagine you are a cloud. Feel the lightness, the freedom, and know that your true nature is as vast and eternal as the water of the earth. You cannot be lost. You cannot be destroyed. You can only change. And every change is a part of the beautiful, endless dance of life. There is nothing to fear. Let this deep, peaceful truth dissolve your worries about endings. Let it carry you into a sleep that is as trusting and serene as a cloud drifting in an endless sky. Hanging from a vine over a cliff, with a hungry tiger above and another below, a man's life was being gnawed away by the mice of time. In this most hopeless of moments, he found a single, perfect strawberry. His choice in that instant contains the entire secret to living and dying without fear. A man was walking through the jungle, enjoying the beauty of the wild, when he heard a rustling in the bushes. He turned and saw a ferocious tiger, its eyes locked on him, its muscles tensed to spring. The man turned and ran for his life. The tiger gave chase, its powerful paws thundering on the ground behind him. The man ran faster than he had ever run before, his heart pounding in his chest. He reached the edge of a high cliff. There was no way forward, and the tiger was closing in. He was trapped. Desperate, he looked over the edge of the cliff and saw a single, thick vine hanging down. Without a second thought, he grabbed the vine and began to shimmy down the cliff face. He was halfway down, clinging to the vine, when he looked up and saw the snarling face of the tiger peering down at him from the edge. He was safe from the tiger, for now. He breathed a sigh of relief, but then he looked down. At the bottom of the cliff, another tiger was waiting, pacing back and forth, looking up at him with hungry eyes. He was trapped between two tigers. His situation seemed utterly hopeless. As he hung there, suspended between two certain deaths, two small mice, one white, one black, scampered out of a crevice in the cliff face and began to nibble on the vine he was holding. He watched in horror as they gnawed away at the strands, one by one. The vine was beginning to fray. It was only a matter of time before it snapped. His mind reeled with terror. The tiger above, the tiger below, the mice of day and night eating away his last hope of survival. This was the end. His life was reduced to this single, terrifying moment. And then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw something. Growing from a tiny ledge on the cliff face, just within his reach, was a small wild strawberry plant. And on it hung a single, perfect strawberry. It was bright red, plump, and glistening with dew. In that moment, suspended between the past he could not return to and a future he could not escape, with his life literally hanging by a thread, the man did something extraordinary. He let go of the vine with one hand, reached out, and carefully plucked the strawberry. He brought it to his lips, put it in his mouth, and tasted it. It was the most delicious strawberry he had ever eaten. This famous Zen story is perhaps the most powerful parable about the nature of worry and the secret to finding peace, even in the most extreme circumstances. We are all that man. The tiger chasing us from behind is our past. It is our regrets, our mistakes, our traumas. It is the history that we are constantly trying to run from, the things we cannot change that still haunt us. The tiger waiting for us below is our future. It is our fear of death, of illness, of failure, of the unknown. It is the inevitable end that awaits us all, the uncertainties that we cannot control. We are all hanging in a vine between these two fears, and the vine is life itself. The two mice, one white and one black, are day and night. They are the relentless passage of time, steadily gnawing away at the precious moments of our existence. Every tick of the clock is another nibble on the vine. Our time is finite. The vine will, eventually, break. This is the human condition. When you look at it this way, it seems terrifyingly bleak. And this is where most of our deepest worries come from. We are trapped, hanging on a fraying rope between a past that hunts us and a future that waits to devour us. So what is the answer? What is the secret to peace in such a predicament? The answer is the strawberry. The strawberry is the present moment. It is this breath. It is the feeling of the sheets on your skin right now. It is the taste of water. It is the sound of silence. It is the single, perfect, and completely real experience that is available to you right now in this instant, and only in this instant. The man in the story found liberation not by killing the tigers or scaring away the mice. That was impossible. He found liberation by shifting his attention. He withdrew his focus from the terrifying what was and the terrifying what will be, and he placed it completely and utterly on the what is. And in that what is, he found not terror, but sweetness. This is the heart of the practice of letting go of worry. Worry is the act of feeding all of your attention to the tigers and the mice. It is living in the past or the future, both of which are realms of powerlessness. You cannot change the past. You cannot control the future. To live there is to live in a state of perpetual fear. Peace is found by choosing to taste the strawberry. It is a radical act of presence. It is to withdraw your energy from the phantoms of yesterday and tomorrow and to invest it fully in the reality of now. As you lie in bed, you may feel the tigers. The regrets of the day may be chasing you. The anxieties about tomorrow may be waiting below. You may feel the mice of time nibbling away, the pressure to fall asleep quickly. The invitation of this story is to find your strawberry. Can you feel the gentle rise and fall of your own chest? That is a strawberry. Can you taste it fully? Can you feel the warmth in your hands or feet? That is a strawberry. Can you rest your entire attention there? Can you simply listen to the silence of the room without expectation? That, too, is a strawberry. The sweetness of the present moment is always available, no matter what tigers are roaring. It is the only place you can ever find true safety, true peace, and true nourishment. The man did not deny his reality. The tigers were still there, but he chose not to give them his last precious moment. He chose to give it to the strawberry. You have that same choice right now. Let go of the tigers. Let go of the mice. They are just stories the mind is telling. Reach out and taste the simple, profound, and perfect reality of this present moment. It is the sweetest thing in the universe, and it is all that ever truly is.